The Meridian Council chambers fell silent as Ambassador Elowen Frost's fist slammed onto the polished basalt table. 67 alien dignitaries flinched in unison, all except for High Executor Vaza Thrax, whose 6 eye stalks remained unblinking for the final time. Elowen's voice cut through the silence like a plasma blade. Earth will not surrender its outer colonies. Not today. Not ever. Vaza Thrax's mandibles clicked with amusement. Your species' stubbornness continues to fascinate me, Ambassador. The Krathun Dominion has conquered 37 civilizations more advanced than yours. Your defiance changes nothing. 3 standard months had passed since the Krathun Armada appeared at the edge of Sol's heliosphere. 3 months of increasingly hostile diplomatic exchanges. The alien empire had expected Earth to capitulate like all others before them. What they failed to understand was that humans had spent centuries preparing for this moment. Perhaps, Elowen replied, her smile razor-thin, you should research Earth's history more thoroughly before making demands. Vaza Thrax's central eye stalk narrowed. Careful, Ambassador, your bravado wears thin. It's not bravado. Elowen tapped her neural interface, and holographic projections flooded the chamber. Images of Earth's countless wars, its phoenix-like resurrections from the ashes of devastation. Humanity wasn't born in peace like your species. We clawed our way out of our own self-destruction. War isn't foreign to us, it's in our DNA. The alien representatives shifted uncomfortably as images of human conflict throughout history flashed before them. From ancient battles with primitive weapons to the cybernetic enhancement wars of the 22nd century. Impressive theater, Vaza Thrax sneered. But the Dominion's patience has limits. You have 24 Earth hours to reconsider. Elowen stood, her eyes cold. Then allow me to save you the wait. She activated her secure quantum communicator. Command, this is Ambassador Frost. Initiate Protocol Lazarus. Authorization Alpha 7 Omega 9. The alien delegates erupted in chaotic chatter as Elowen turned to leave. Admiral Orin Levesque of the Proxima Confederation grabbed her arm. Ambassador, what have you done? His 4-fingered hand trembled against her suit. Elowen's expression remained unreadable. What we've planned for since the Arcturus incident. Vaza Thrax rose to his full 3-meter height. Your posturing is pathetic. The Krathun battle fleet outguns your entire military 100 to 1. Numbers, Elowen replied, aren't everything. As if on cue, the chamber's ambient lighting flickered. The massive view screen overlooking Earth suddenly showed thousands of tiny flashes igniting across the planet's surface. Vaza Thrax's exoskeleton paled. What trickery is... Before he could finish, the Council's AI assistant announced, Alert! Detecting massive energy signatures, multiple quantum singularities forming in near-Earth orbit. The alien representatives watched in horror as hundreds, then thousands of spatial rifts tore open around Earth. From each emerged vessels of impossible design, warships bearing the insignia of the United Earth Defense Force, ships that hadn't existed minutes before. Impossible, whispered Vaza Thrax. Your species lacks fold technology. We lacked it, Elowen corrected. Until we salvaged it from the Arcturus wreckage your people thought they destroyed 20 years ago. The chamber dissolved into pandemonium. As reports flooded in, Earth colonies across 17 systems simultaneously revealing hidden armadas, quantum communication networks suddenly jamming all Dominion frequencies. Operation Lazarus wasn't just a defensive protocol. It was humanity's ultimate insurance policy, a sleeping fleet, hidden in pocket dimensions, waiting for the moment aliens mistook human diplomacy for weakness. Humanity had been preparing for war since the stars first spoke back. 48 hours. After Protocol Lazarus activated, the Krathun Dominion found itself fighting on 17 fronts across 3 spiral arms of the galaxy. What had begun as a simple subjugation operation had transformed into the first genuine threat to their 5,000-year empire. Fleet Admiral Callista Reed stood on the bridge of the UEFS Prometheus, Earth's largest dreadnought. Tactical holograms painted her weathered face in ethereal blue light as she studied the unfolding battle above Europa, Jupiter's ice-covered moon. "Status report," she demanded, voice steady despite the ship shuddering from a nearby impact. Commander Maverick Toros, his cybernetic eye whirring as it processed data, replied, "Krathun forces retreating in sectors 7 through 13. Their quantum communication network is completely compromised. The Lazarus virus is spreading through their systems faster than predicted." Callista nodded. The Lazarus protocol hadn't just been about hidden ships. It was a multi-vector assault on every level. While the physical fleet engaged the Dominion's armada, digital warfare specialists deployed viruses that had been meticulously crafted for decades, designed to exploit vulnerabilities in alien technology that the Krathun didn't even know existed. "And the Sunbreaker?" Callista asked, referring to the Dominion's flagship. "Still holding position near Ganymede. Admiral, we're detecting unusual energy signatures from their main cannon." Callista's eyes narrowed. "They're getting desperate. Transmit to all ships. Execute pattern Hydra." The human fleet responded instantly, reconfiguring into a formation that seemed chaotic to outside observers, but followed precise mathematical models designed to minimize casualties from area effect weapons. The massive Krathun flagship, a vessel nearly the size of Earth's moon, began to glow as its primary weapon charged. The aliens had never needed to use their planet killer before. No civilization had pushed them this far. "They're targeting Europa," Maverick reported, his augmented voice betraying rare emotion. Europa housed humanity's largest off-world research facility, home to over 7 million civilians. The Krathun were abandoning their supposed honor code of warfare, revealing their true nature. "Execute Operation Black Mirror," Callista ordered without hesitation. Deep beneath Europa's icy surface, quantum engines that had remained dormant for decades suddenly activated. The entire moon shimmered as if made of liquid light, then vanished completely, just as the Sunbreaker's weapon discharged. The devastating beam cut through empty space where Europa had been moments before. "Dimensional shift successful," Maverick confirmed. "Europa has relocated to the prepared coordinates in the Oort cloud. Civilian population secure." The bridge crew erupted in cheers, but Callista remained stoic. "Prepare the Prometheus for direct engagement with the Sunbreaker. It's time to show the Dominion what happens when they threaten human lives." Across the solar system, similar scenes unfolded as humanity revealed technological advancements they had hidden for generations. Colonial worlds thought to be defenseless unveiled massive orbital weapon platforms. Mining outposts transformed into fortified bunkers. What the Dominion had assessed as primitive terraforming equipment on Mars revealed itself as a planet-wide defensive system. On distant Proxima Centauri B, Admiral Zephyr Volkov watched as his fleet executed a perfect pincer movement against the confused Krathun forces. "The dimensional fold drives are operating beyond expected parameters," his second-in-command reported. "We can initiate another, jump in 30 minutes instead of the projected 2 hours." Zephyr smiled grimly. "Perfect. Transmit to all captains. Prepare for Operation Thunderclap." As the human counteroffensive gained momentum, the Krathun High Command faced an uncomfortable reality. They had gravely underestimated humanity's capacity for warfare. They had expected submission or, at worst, a brief, desperate resistance. Instead, they had awakened a sleeping giant, one that had been preparing for this moment since humans first glimpsed the stars and wondered if they were alone. And now, the galaxy would learn why. High Executor Vazathrax stared at the tactical display with all 6 eye stalks, his exoskeleton creaking as tension gripped his form. The Dominion's Grand Council chamber, once a place of measured deliberation, now buzzed with panicked activity as reports of defeats flooded in from across. Krathun space. Impossible, hissed Sub-Executor Mevnar. The humans couldn't have developed this technology independently. They must have had help. Vazathrax turned slowly. Does it matter? Whatever the source, they wield it with a brutality we haven't encountered in millennia. The tactical display shifted to show footage from the Rigel campaign, Krathun warships being systematically dismantled by smaller, faster human vessels that seemed to phase in and out of reality itself. Conventional Dominion sensors couldn't track them, much less target them. We've lost contact with the entire 7th Fleet, another counselor reported. The mining colony on Tau Ceti has gone silent. The humans are advancing at an exponential rate. Vazathrax's mandibles clicked in agitation. Have we decoded their communication protocols yet? No, High Executor. Their encryption algorithms shift faster than our systems can analyze them, and there's something else. The intelligence officer hesitated. Speak! The humans aren't just fighting with technology. They're using psychological warfare. Each defeated Krathun vessel receives the same message broadcast on all frequencies before destruction. Show me, Vazathrax demanded. The main screen flickered, displaying text in perfect Krathun script. We tried peace. Remember that. Meanwhile, aboard the UEFS Prometheus, Admiral Callista Reed was meeting with an unusual passenger. Dr. Isolde Varane stood before a containment field studying the captive. Krathun scientist within? Your species doesn't understand what it's done, the alien said, its translator rendering the clicks and hisses into comprehensible speech. The protocols exist for a reason. Callista crossed her arms. Enlighten us, Dr. Zalek. What protocols? The Galactic Concord. The restrictions on certain technologies. They aren't arbitrary. They're necessary. Zalek's eye stalks quivered. The dimensional manipulation you're employing, there are consequences. Dr. Varane stepped closer to the containment field. You mean the quantum resonance cascade effect? We solved that problem 15 years ago. The alien scientist froze. That's not possible. The mathematical complexities alone would require a nonlinear approach to dimensional calculus, Isolde finished. Yes, we know. Humanity didn't just build weapons these past decades, Zalek. We built understanding. Admiral Reed's neural interface chimed, and she received the latest battlefield updates directly into her consciousness. The Sunbreaker has retreated to the Dominion homeworld, she announced. Their fleet is consolidating around their core systems. Zalek's posture changed, something akin to resignation settling over the alien's form. Then it begins. The Concord will intervene. The Concord? Callista asked sharply. The Elder Species, those who established the protocols after the last dimensional war, nearly destroyed the galaxy. They will not allow such technology to spread. Isolde and Callista exchanged glances. This was new information. Potentially game-changing. How many Elder Species are in this Concord? Isolde asked. 3 remain. The Archivists, the Veil, and the Progenitors. They observe from the shadows, intervening only when necessary. Callista's neural interface chimed again with an urgent priority message. Her eyes widened slightly as she processed the information. It seems your Concord is already making itself known, she said. We've detected anomalous energy signatures at the edge of the solar system. 3 vessels of unknown configuration have appeared. Zalek's reaction was immediate. All 6 eye stalks went rigid with what seemed like fear. They've never revealed themselves so openly before. You don't understand what you've done by forcing their hand. Admiral Reed's expression hardened. No, Zalek. Your people don't understand what you've done by forcing ours. Throughout human space, defensive systems automatically recalibrated as news of the mysterious new arrivals spread. Operation Lazarus had anticipated even this contingency, the possibility of more advanced civilizations entering the conflict. As humanity prepared to face yet another threat, one thing became abundantly clear. There would be no return to the fragile peace of before. The galaxy had changed irrevocably, and humanity would either emerge victorious or burn trying. The three vessels of the galactic Concorde hung motionless at the edge of Sol's heliosphere, geometric impossibilities that seemed to both exist and not exist simultaneously. They emitted no detectable energy signatures, yet distorted space around them in ways that defied conventional physics. Within the hastily assembled war room aboard the UEFS Prometheus, humanity's leading military and scientific minds gathered around a conference table laden with holographic projections of the mysterious visitors. "They've made no attempts at communication," General Octavia Navarus reported, her artificial arm interfacing directly with the ship's tactical systems. "They're just watching." Ambassador Alowan Frost rubbed her temples in frustration. "The Krathun are regrouping while we sit here staring at these newcomers. We need to act." Dr. Isolde Varane manipulated the holographic display, enhancing certain aspects of the alien vessels. These designs incorporate dimensional folding at a level beyond even our advancements. I believe the central vessel belongs to what Zalek called the Archivists. Admiral Callista Reed's expression remained impassive. "Can we communicate with them?" "We've tried every frequency and method we know," communications specialist Lysander Quinn interjected. "They're either ignoring us or they communicate in ways we can't comprehend," finished Alowan. "Typical. Just when humanity proves itself against one alien threat, a more inscrutable one appears." The room fell silent as the main view screen suddenly activated without command. A figure appeared, humanoid in basic shape, but clearly not human. Its skin appeared metallic yet fluid, constantly shifting like quicksilver. Where a face should be, there was only a smooth surface occasionally rippling with geometric patterns. "You have violated the protocols," the entity stated, its voice somehow bypassing the ship's communication systems and manifesting directly in everyone's minds. "The technology you wield is forbidden." Admiral Reed stepped forward. "I am Fleet, Admiral Callista Reed of the United Earth Defense Force. We are defending ourselves against unprovoked aggression from the Krathun Dominion." "The reason is irrelevant," the archivist replied. "The dimensional manipulation technology exceeds the permitted advancement threshold for your species classification. Surrender these weapons immediately." Dr. Varane moved beside the Admiral. "With respect, we developed this technology independently through our own research and understanding. By what right do you restrict our ability to defend ourselves?" The archivist's form rippled with complex patterns. The last species to advance this rapidly destabilized 3 galactic sectors before containment was achieved. The protocols exist to prevent civilizational extinction events. General Navarus laughed bitterly. "And yet you allowed the Krathun to rampage across the galaxy, conquering and enslaving dozens of species. The Krathun operate within acceptable parameters. Their technological development follows the prescribed evolutionary curve." Ambassador Frost stepped forward, diplomatic training giving way to fury. "So conquest is acceptable as long as it's done with approved weapons? Tell me, Archivist, did your Concorde establish these protocols before or after your own species achieved technological supremacy?" The archivist went silent for several seconds, an eternity in computational terms. When it spoke again, there was a subtle change in its mental tone. "You misunderstand our purpose. We do not seek to oppress, but to preserve. The technologies you have developed carry risks beyond your comprehension." Admiral Reed crossed her arms. "Then help us comprehend. Share knowledge rather than demanding submission." "That is not our way." "Then it is not our way to surrender the means of our survival," Reed countered. "Humanity has faced extinction before. We've stared into the abyss of our own destruction and clawed our way back. We will not disarm while threats remain." The archivist's form shifted more rapidly. "You leave us no choice but to It stopped mid-sentence as alarms suddenly blared throughout the Prometheus. The tactical display showed new energy signatures. Massive ones appearing behind the Concorde vessels. "Admiral!" Lysander called out. "The Krathun! Their entire remaining fleet just emerged from dimensional transit." The view screen split to show the massive Krathun armada, led by the planet-sized Sunbreaker, closing in on the Concorde vessels. The Krathun had gambled everything on a surprise attack against the distracted elder species. "It appears, Admiral," Reed said quietly to the archivist, "that we are not the only ones who refuse to follow your protocols." As the conquered vessels turned to face the Krathun threat, humanity faced a pivotal decision: join the battle or let their enemies destroy each other. And in that moment, the true test of humanity's place in the galactic order began. The space between Mars and Jupiter became a theater of cosmic warfare unlike anything witnessed in the galaxy for millennia. The Krathun fleet, desperate and cornered, unleashed weapons of such devastating power that nearby asteroids were vaporized simply by proximity. The three conquered vessels responded with technology so advanced they seemed like magic. Entire squadrons of Krathun warships folded out of existence or imploded into themselves. Aboard the Prometheus, humanity's leadership watched in stunned silence. "The Concorde vessels are taking damage," Lysander reported, surprise evident in his voice. "The Krathun are actually hurting them." General Navarus leaned forward. "How is that possible? I thought these were supposed to be supremely advanced. Elder species." Dr. Varane's fingers danced across her console. "The Krathun are employing prohibited technologies as well. They must have been hoarding forbidden weapons in secret, preparing for this moment." Ambassador Frost turned to Admiral Reed. "This changes everything. The conquered isn't invincible." Reed's eyes narrowed as she studied the battle unfolding before them. "More importantly, both sides are ignoring us completely. They've deemed each other the greater threat." "Admiral," Commander Maverick Toros called from Tactical, "I'm detecting unusual energy buildups within the Sunbreaker. They appear to be preparing to use their primary weapon against the Central Concorde vessel." Reed's decision came instantly. "All ships, prepare to execute Formation Omega. Target the Sunbreaker's main cannon." "We're entering this fight." The room erupted in debate. "Admiral, these beings could wipe us out with a thought," protested one officer. "Or the Krathun could eliminate the only force keeping them in check," countered another. Reed raised her hand for silence. "The conquered may not be our allies, but they represent order. The Krathun have proven they seek only conquest. Tactically and ethically, our course is clear." She turned to face the view screen where the archivist's image still hovered. "We will assist you against the Krathun, but in exchange we demand recognition as equals, not subjects. The protocols must be renegotiated." The archivist's form swirled with complex patterns. "You would bargain while the fabric of space-time is threatened?" "We're offering help you clearly need," Reed replied coolly. "Your choice." For a moment that stretched into eternity, the archivist remained silent. Then, "Proceed." Reed nodded to Maverick. "Transmit to all UEDF vessels. Engage the Krathun fleet. Priority targets are their dimensional weapons and the Sunbreaker's main cannon. Activate the Umbra system." Throughout human space, a system that had remained dormant since its creation suddenly came online. The Umbra system, humanity's most closely guarded secret, not merely a weapon, but a fundamental reimagining of how reality could be manipulated. Aboard the Krathun flagship, High Executor Vaza Thrax received the alert too late. "Humans engaging! Target their—" His words died as darkness seemed to spread across the viewports, not merely absence of light, but absence of everything. The human fleet hadn't just appeared. They had brought the void with them. The Umbra system didn't destroy ships. It temporarily phased them into a subdimension where the laws of physics worked differently. where energy weapons dispersed harmlessly and matter lost cohesion. The human vessels, specifically designed to operate in this altered state, moved through the Krathun fleet like ghosts through walls. On the Prometheus's bridge, Dr. Varane monitored the system anxiously. Umbra field stable. We have 4 minutes before dimensional integrity requires reset. 4 minutes was all they needed. Human ships, now effectively untouchable, positioned themselves strategically throughout the Krathun formation. As the Umbra field collapsed and normal space reasserted itself, the human vessels unleashed targeted strikes at the Sunbreaker's weapon systems. The massive alien flagship shuddered as precision strikes disabled its planet-killer cannon. The human attack had been surgical, disabling rather than destroying. The Concorde vessels, freed from defending against the Sunbreaker's main weapon, quickly turned the tide against the remaining Krathun forces. As the battle reached its crescendo, Admiral Reed opened a channel to all combatants, conquered Krathun and human alike. This ends now. The Krathun will withdraw from all occupied territories. The conquered will recognize humanity's right to self-determination. And together, we will establish new protocols, not based on arbitrary restrictions, but on mutual respect and shared responsibility. The galaxy held its breath, waiting to see if humanity's gambit would succeed or if they had merely postponed their own destruction. The Meridian Council chambers, where this conflict had begun, now hosted its resolution. Representatives from 57 species filled the hall, with 3 distinct groups commanding center stage. The Krathun delegation, considerably humbled, the enigmatic representatives of the Galactic Concord, and humanity's diplomatic corps, led by Ambassador Elowen Frost. The chamber's atmosphere crackled with tension as the archivist materialized at the center of the speaking platform, its quicksilver form reflecting the chamber's lights in hypnotic patterns. For 12 million standard years, the protocols have maintained galactic stability, it began, its thoughts manifesting in the minds of all present. Today, we acknowledge these protocols must evolve. A murmur rippled through the assembled delegates. For many species present, the Concorde had been an untouchable authority, godlike beings whose judgments were beyond question. To hear one speak of change was revolutionary. Ambassador Frost stepped forward, standing as an equal beside the ancient entity. Evolution is necessary for survival. Humanity learned this lesson early in our development. Stagnation, even in the name of stability, leads to extinction. High Executor Vazathrax, his proud posture now stooped from defeat, rose next. The Krathun Dominion objects to these proceedings. By right of conquest, we have claimed to— You have claimed to nothing, interrupted a new voice. Admiral Callista. Reed strode into the chamber, her uniform bearing the scars of recent battle. Your empire was built on subjugation, maintained through fear. Those days are over. The Admiral activated a holographic display showing real-time footage of former Krathun colonies where liberation operations were underway. Human ships worked alongside vessels from previously conquered species, dismantling the Dominion's power structures. The age of empires is ending, Reed continued. What comes next is up to all of us. The archivist's form rippled in what might have been approval. The human perspective offers clarity. For too long, the Concorde has observed without participating. We restricted technologies without providing alternatives. This approach has proven inadequate. From the back of the chamber, Dr. Isolde Varan stepped forward with a small device in her hands. With permission, I'd like to demonstrate something. At the archivist's nod, she activated the device. A miniature galaxy materialized above it, a perfect representation of the Milky Way, showing current power distributions, resource concentrations, and conflict zones. This is our galaxy today, she explained. Now watch what happens when we apply the principles of the new protocols we're proposing. The holographic galaxy shifted, borders dissolving and reforming, resource flows redistributing. What emerged was not perfect equality, such a thing was impossible, but a more balanced system where power disparities were less extreme. Uplift rather than restriction, Isolde continued. Knowledge sharing rather than hoarding. Mutual defense rather than isolated empires. This is the future humanity envisions. The chamber fell silent as species that had been enemies for millennia contemplated this radical vision. It was the representative from the Veil, another Concord species that appeared as a shimmering curtain of light, who broke the silence. You ask much of the galaxy, humans. Old hatreds do not die easily. Elowen nodded acknowledgement. We know. Humanity spent most of its history fighting itself before we learned better. But consider the alternative. Endless cycles of conquest and rebellion. Technological suppression that leaves us all vulnerable to threats we cannot yet imagine. High Executor Vaz Thrax clicked his mandibles in what might have been bitter amusement. And what prevents your species from becoming the next conquerors? You possess weapons that could subjugate us all. Admiral Reed stepped forward again. A fair question, which is why, as a gesture of trust, she nodded to Commander Maverick Toros, who activated a secure transmission. On the main view screen, footage appeared showing the Umbra system's central control facility. Under the watchful eyes of the entire council, the facility's power core was removed, rendering the system inoperable. We disarm ourselves of our greatest advantage, Reed explained, and offer instead to share defensive technologies with all, signatory species of the new protocols. The chamber erupted in astonished discussion. No victorious species in recorded galactic history had voluntarily relinquished power this way. The Archivist's form shifted into a more complex configuration. The conquered acknowledges humanity's wisdom. Perhaps it is time for new guardians. What followed was 6 days of intense negotiation, the drafting of the new protocols that would reshape galactic civilization. The Krathun, stripped of their empire, but not their dignity, reluctantly accepted their role in the new order. Former subject species found their voices for the first time in generations. On the final day, as representatives from all 57 species signed the historic document, Ambassador Elowen Frost found herself standing beside the archivist at a viewport overlooking Earth. You sacrificed much, the ancient being observed. The Umbra system gave your kind power few species have ever wielded. Elowen smiled slightly. We've learned that true power doesn't come from weapons or technology. It comes from trust, from cooperation, from turning enemies into allies. A lesson, the archivist acknowledged, that took my own kind millions of years to learn. Below them, Earth shimmered blue and green in the darkness of space, no longer just the cradle of humanity, but now the birthplace of a new galactic order. Not an empire built through conquest, but a federation forged through understanding. Humanity had unleashed hell upon those who threatened them, and then, more remarkably, they had unleashed peace. As Admiral Reed often said in the years that followed, we tried war. We excelled at it, but our true victory came when we excelled at what comes after. Throughout the galaxy, former enemies learned to cooperate. Ancient technologies, once forbidden, were studied safely under mutual oversight. And humanity, the species that had forced this change, continued to surprise their galactic neighbors with their capacity for both righteous fury and boundless compassion. The age of empires had ended. The age of understanding had begun, and the stars themselves seemed to burn a little brighter for it.